Okay, hello everyone. It is 5 p.m. and we start speaking English. Okay, it's just like British tea at 5 o'clock. So you can have tea, right? Because it is webinar, and that is one of the beauty of this event, because you're sitting at home, you're having fun, and you can have tea, and we shall speak English. Okay, so today we will talk about how to start speaking English more and more, because sometimes we as teachers we feel that we are the only ones in this planet or in this country or in this city or in this school who speak English, and it is kind of rude to speak the language most of the people don't understand. But I agree with everyone who wants to speak more English, that the more we speak English, teachers of English, if we speak more English, it means that more and more people around us will be able to do it successfully. Okay, so that's why it is a wonderful question. Thank you for your participation. I hope that you can see the presentation, you can hear my voice, and I think that you can do it with your pluses for me to see that technically we are ready to go and everything is working perfectly. So if you can hear me well and see my presentation, put plus, 2 pluses, or minus if there is a problem. Okay, just for us to be informed. Okay, thank you very much. Good. So I think that everything is okay. And as a teacher, because I'm a teacher of English, and you can see my name on the screen, it is Nadija Klimišina, and I usually start working with a new group with kind of rules. And of course, you are my new group, and of course, we will start with rules. I will not read them aloud because they are written on your screen. You can see the presentation. I'd like you to read them carefully, and I will see if you understand them or not when you finish them. Rules are important for any group you're working with, because they should know what to expect and what to do and how to deal with the problems. And actually, rules that you establish show you how you should work with a group. Okay, so have you finished reading? Thank you very much, Olga. Yes. Okay, so I made a mistake. Yes, me, teacher. I actually made it on purpose because it is important to understand that our communication can happen. Successful communication can happen even if you make mistakes. We shouldn't be afraid of them. We should embrace them and understand that they are part of life. Okay, so that's why I will change a little bit the rules for our webinar. I will add something else because Olga found the mistake that was on the screen. We should accept mistakes whenever we make them or people around make them. And I would appreciate your help if you can correct my mistakes. I know that I can speak English. I have been working on my speaking English for a lot of time. It took me quite a lot of time to develop it, to be confident in it. And I know that I still make mistakes because I'm human. I'm not a perfect person, right? So that's why one of the rules of this webinar, whenever you hear a mistake, please type it, okay? So it means that I will learn. Because when I speak, I have no time and I have not so much attention to my speech, because I pay attention to whatever I want to say, but not on how I say it. So that's why I would appreciate your help in a way of correcting my mistake. Okay? Thank you very much for being attentive. Thank you very much for joining us from Margaret, right? It is Margaret. It's very exciting to have people all over Ukraine gathered together at the same time speaking English. Good. So we are practicing English only. So that's why that is one of those webinars when I ask you to use English in the chat. Okay. So you remember we accept all mistakes. Message that we are passing is more important. So that's why don't be embarrassed. Just type something, and I will be happy to get your messages or questions. Okay, we have 30 minutes I don't think I will answer all your questions, but I'll do my best to pay attention to your questions and answer some of them. Okay. Let's move on. Now I have a question to you, because I think it is important for me to know what kind of group I'm working with. There is a question on the screen. How much time do you speak English during a lesson? You shouldn't answer in the chat. Please remember it. You shouldn't answer in the chat. But I believe that you can see right now the interactive possibility to vote on the screen. Thank you. I see your answers. Perfect. So we have the answers. You just click the answer which is the most true for you. Okay, we are waiting for most of the people to answer the questions. You just write how in the percentage. Okay, so of course it is difficult to evaluate how much time you spend speaking English during the lesson, but approximately according to your feeling. Okay, so we still have some time to vote. Please vote on the screen. It is actually easy. You should tick and your answer will be here. We will see the result. Okay, so I see that the third part of the listeners participated already. Yes, please vote. How much? Okay, so we understand that we don't live in a perfect world and it is not so easy to speak English 100%. Actually, you can see that I even didn't put 100% into the scale. I know the reality. It is quite challenging. The most challenging thing is to make 100% speaking English during the lesson. But anyway, okay, so let's see. We have the third part of listeners who participated. Okay, let it be, I don't know, 10 more seconds. You just press the correct answer according to your feeling, and we will see the results on the screen. Okay? Okay. Yes. Okay, I think that we can see the results right now. Okay, I publish the results. You will see them on the screen. I hope so. Hello, everyone who's joining us. Okay, so I hope that you can quickly join into our activities. So, what do we see? The most of the participants of this webinar speak 80% English. 80% of time they speak English. Okay, so that's good. 80%, it is more than they have. It is almost the perfect 100. Okay, so that's very good. Okay, so nobody speaks 98%. Okay, that I think it was honest, right? Which I appreciate greatly. Wonderful. And we can see that. Okay, so we have some people who speak just a little, and of course I understand why, because every time when we speak English, we think about our students. We'd like them to be successful, right? So that is actually an important part, and sometimes we switch to our native language. So I'd like to ask you one more question, because I'd like to know your desire. I'd like to know your ambition, right? So the next question is going to be a little bit different, but quite different. The difference is very important. How much time would you like to speak English during the lesson? Let's go into the ideal world. And if we teach in the ideal world, how much time would you like to spend in English? Again, you answer not in the chat, you answer on the screen, as I understand. You can see the same percentage. Okay, so and you can vote now. Okay, so choose that percentage which will correspond to the time you speak English in the ideal world. Okay, so let's imagine everybody can understand it. Okay, so your English is the perfect way of communication and passing your message. Okay, good. Already 13 people voted. That's very good. Okay, so I think that some more people should vote, and we will publish the results, which I hope you will see on the screen. I believe our screens are a little bit different, so okay. And okay, we have 50% of listeners voted already. Okay, good. Okay, so I think that's enough. Maybe some more people who haven't voted, please vote. Yes, we should have practice in voting. This week we'll finish with the big elections, so voting is good, and we are practicing. And I think it is over. Thank you very much for active participation. I published the results. I hope you see them on your screens, and you can see that in the perfect world, we 42% of people would like to speak English. 98%. Okay, so it means that we're ambitious. We want it, right? So we want to speak more than we do in reality. And that is very good ambition, because if teacher has got some kind of aim, has got some kind of direction to grow, it means his or her students will grow with him, because it is something that is happening in education. As soon as the teacher grows, the students and even the parents, you can see it sometimes, they also improve something in their lives, okay, in their skills. Thank you very much. It was very interesting. It was very informative. So we have this ambition. We'd like to speak more. We know how much English we speak, and we know what is our aim, because that is the very beginning of any plan, right, of any project. If you'd like to have to make a successful project, you actually should think, what do I have now? What do I want to get? And now you have a gap which you have to cover with some short steps. Okay, so let's look at the problems. Okay, so what is the problem? Why can't we speak as much as we would like to? So what is the problem? What is standing on our way? So can you type some reasons why instead of 100% of English on your lesson, you have only 60 or 80 or 70? So what is the obstacle to your desirable aim? So while you think about the variants of answers, you can see a wonderful picture. And we will talk about this picture, because this picture is very illustrative. So any ideas why we don't speak as much English as we'd like to? We're teachers of English, we can read English, we can understand English. Abilities of students, thank you. Unfortunately, there is no name, only the surname. Lack of experience, yes, you're right. Yes, so it is something that is on our way. We understand that students are not as good as we'd like them to, and we have to choose the language sometimes to be effective in instruction. And sometimes we just don't know how to do that, because to tell you the truth, my teachers of English, when I was a schoolgirl or when I was the student in university, my teachers didn't speak English a lot, right? So I actually lack that experience. Little pupils are not ready for this. Okay, yes, that is an opinion that's quite popular. I have experience speaking English to youngsters only in English, okay? So I actually have done it. It is not the theoretical knowledge. I worked in the kindergarten and I spoke English only. It is hard. And I cannot describe it better. I think there is no word for that. But it is amazing how nicely and how deeply they dive into English-speaking atmosphere, and how it is easy for them later to survive in it. Okay, so actually every pupil, every person on this planet is ready to survive your instruction in a foreign language. But the time is a big problem, because if you speak only foreign language as a person who doesn't understand, yeah, you will spend a lot of time on reaching your goal. Native language makes it shorter. That's true. No opportunities to speak to native speakers for students. That's an interesting idea. I will speak about it a little bit later, okay? So the problem is we have no people who speak English right around us. We have lots of Ukrainian-speaking people, Russian-speaking people around us. And it is hard, right? So like no one supports us. Look at the picture, please. Why this guy is so comfortable in speaking actual English? What helps him? So if I circle, wait, it's not pretty, but I circled. So I circled this. What do you think it is? What I'm circling? So what helps him? What helps this guy to speak? You see that he's so relaxed. So what do you think? What helps him to be so comfortable in speaking English? Because the pupils domesticated all information in English. Yes, Eugene, that's very popular message, right? I agree. Yes, I agree that native language makes it easier. Encouraging. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry I don't know your name. I don't want to call you by your surname. Okay. So, but an approval, right? Yes, the guy is, and by the way, how can we describe the guy in the picture? Look at his eyes. What does it mean? He speaks and his eyes are closed. So what does it mean? So like, yes, people around him encourage him and approve, and they around him and they listen, I assume, right? Oh, Natalia, yes, thank you very much. Yes, your ideas are wonderful. Okay. So what about the eyes? What? He's an Englishman, right? There is no problem for him to speak English because that is his language. But we don't know. We actually don't know. Interaction, cooperation. Interesting, right? So Eugene, he's acting. Oh, interesting about it. He's acting. I think he's acting. That's why he closed his eyes. I believe he closed his eyes because he's very safe. He feels that the environment he's using language, a foreign language. Let's assume he's using a foreign language. Okay, so it is not written that he's a British person. But the environment takes him and likes him, and he feels safe, confidence, and enjoyment. Thank you, Natalia. So, and to tell you the truth, it is not a picture, but that is the truth of you and me starting speaking English more and more. You should feel confidence. You should feel the importance of using it because it will be interactive cooperation, as Eugene wrote, okay? So unfortunately, I cannot speak about interactive cooperation right now because that is a wonderful, very big topic on methodology, so how to organize it in the classroom. But that is a very important step in English speaking to improve English speaking in your classroom. Because when you cooperate, you interact with different people, you feel more confidence, you feel more, you feel safer in that environment, and it makes you successful. Okay, so this guy is awesome, but he's awesome because his environment helps him a lot. Okay, let's talk about environment, because the environment, it is something that actually we create, and it creates us. The environment we live in, the environment we learn in, the environment we teach in, influences us a lot as personalities and as teachers. Okay, so what is environment if we explore? Environment around you, it is people around you, okay, so teachers, kids, students, their parents, okay, all the people who are around you, who you interact with. Of course, it is a place we work, okay, so I explained how the environment influences you. For example, when you go to the bathroom, you understand that actually it is a place to brush your teeth, okay, to wash your face, okay, so you have all the tools there, and it is your habit to do it there. And whenever you go to the bathroom, you actually don't make a plan, you don't encourage yourself to do that. It is something that you get used to doing, right? And it is wonderful. So environment actually helps us to have healthy habits to make our day easier, because whatever you do, automatically let it be, okay? Whatever you do because you have a habit of it, it helps you not to think about how to do that. I think it would be a nightmare if every morning you would think how to brush your teeth. For you to find a new technique how to do that, that takes a lot of energy, and we are happy that we have one way to do that, and we just do it because that is important. So place your in people around you, and actually events which you usually have during the day, they all from your environment. So what does environment do to us? So if, for example, during the lessons you speak 70% of time in English, right? So it is very difficult to change because it is something that you get used to doing, and it is something that the environment, students, groups, desks, I don't know, topics, and your habit tells you what to do, okay? So that is your usual environment, and you do it very often. Actually, maybe you do it every day. So, and that's why to change the amount of English in your speech in the same environment as yesterday is actually very difficult. So it is something that you should remember. To start speaking English more than yesterday, that is a big challenge, because the life that you had yesterday actually didn't change. You have the same students, you have the same colleagues, you have the same school, you have the same city, you have the same news, okay? And all of them influence you, and they all change you. Like they would like you to be the same the next day. And that's why changing behavior is very difficult. So please keep in mind that if you'd like to speak English more, it means that you'd like to change your behavior. It is not easy, but it is possible to do. At any point of your life, you shouldn't wait for Monday, you shouldn't wait for a new school year, you shouldn't wait for anything. Just one day, your lucky day, when you decide that I'd like to change my behavior in this way, you should start doing little steps. And that is something that you should be ready to agree with. To speak English more, you can, only when you understand that it takes a lot of time and you can do it step by step. Okay? So for example, my steps, how I did it. Okay? So how I created the environment which supports me. So first of all, my lesson plans. I always write lesson plans. It doesn't matter which book I use. I always write lesson plans. Some of my plans are printed. Yes, I do it sometimes. Some of my plans are, they look like this. I'm sorry, it's just a mess, but I understand what I wrote there. Okay, so one lesson plan is the one of the steps to speak English. I keep my lesson plan English only. I never write anything in native language when I plan a lesson, because when I plan a lesson, if I write in English, it means that I think in English, because I do. I do. And for example, if I have a new game, I learned, I don't know, I read about the new game and I want to introduce it into my classroom. So I will write even more about this game in my lesson plan, because I should be able to give instruction in such a way that my students understand. And my students are the same as yours. They understand something and something they don't understand, and they're just real students and all the ages. I teach youngsters, I teach teenagers, and I teach teachers, by the way. Okay, so whenever I make a plan, I choose the information which is absolutely new for me, and I write it in English in kind of detail, because I'd like to be able to have the words. That is the tricky thing about our brain. Whenever you do something new, sometimes you lack the ability to do it well because it is your first time. And that's why when I write a lesson plan, maybe this ugly one, okay, I'm sorry, but that is an example, usually, the new game, the new ways to appraise my students, or maybe the instructions to the new activity, or maybe I understand the homework is difficult and I have to explain it well. So first I find the right words at home before the lesson. Because during the lesson, I'm even more limited in time and I won't be successful. I know that. So that's why all my lesson plans are in English, and I really recommend you do it. Whatever you write, by the way, it can be not only lesson plans, whatever you write, okay? Some notes, some feelings, some short decisions, okay? Involve English into your writing, your personal writing, okay? So it will help you a little bit, okay? But at least you will have some thoughts which are in English. There will be more English in your life. The next step, which I actually recommend, choose one person in your environment and from tomorrow speak English only to this person. It can be a colleague. You should agree. You should say, okay, Galina, I know it sounds crazy, but I'd like to speak English to you all the time. Can we do that? Or maybe you have a wonderful student. Maybe you work, you give some private lessons and you have a wonderful student who can survive it. You know that she or he can survive it. So just start speaking English only. Choose one person. Because building an environment around you, start with the first little step. And the little step will be one person in your environment who you are going to speak English only. Okay? So how to develop these steps? So I hope that you have such a person who will support you, who will understand, and who will maybe even appreciate it. She or he will be surprised. Oh, my teacher speaks English only. That's so cool. Believe me, they have this attitude. Actually, messages to my own children. Thank you. That's in your family, right? So if you have a person who can support you in your family, that is a great idea to write and actually to speak English, okay? I will share you my story. I have a son, and I started teaching him English when he was 6 months old. Now you can think, oh, she's crazy. But I'm very happy I did it. I remember how awkward it was because my mom, his granny, looked at me like, what are you doing? He's too small. You were ruining his childhood or something. But right now he's 18 years old and his English is better than mine. I know that I did a lot to do that, okay? So I actually worked harder in the beginning of his learning English for him to be so successful right now. So choose a person, choose a colleague, find a friend who you can speak English only. So that is important, okay? Because it is building the environment. You cannot change your country going to, I don't know, Great Britain tomorrow. That's not possible. That is the changing of environment. So if it is not possible, so change your environment step by step. One of these steps is people, okay? So if you are successful this year, now it is almost April, right? So April, May, so the school year is over. You will have this experiment for 2 months, right? And from September, you will have new groups, maybe new private students, maybe new people who will speak English to you willingly. So you will make this circle of people who speak English only bigger. But you should start with one person. Okay? So English on the lessons. I'm a strong believer that it is possible. I know that right now you have a lot of practical questions. How? But then look at the clock and I see that it is 5:29. Okay, so I actually have to finish. So it will be the topic of the next seminar: how to survive in English 100% in the lesson. Okay, so I would recommend you to have Viber groups with your students, especially private ones. Okay, so because you don't have 30 students in one group, you will have several of them, and keep English communication in Viber, in Telegram, or other ways of communication. It helps them, it helps you a lot. Okay, so, and as I told you, if you start in April with one person to speak English only, in September you can have even more people who would like, who you will choose. By the way, that's your choice. Okay, so it is not their choice, it is you who decide, okay, I will speak English to him, okay? And it is your decision. You should be strong, keep this promise to yourself. Other friends that will help you a lot. I believe you communicate with your students. I know I do a lot. They ask me homework, they ask me about some rules, they ask me about, I don't know, some other things. They ask me a piece of advice, which I'm very happy to give, but I keep it in English only, okay? So whenever my student asks, they can ask me in Ukrainian or Russian sometimes. I answer in English. I keep it simple because it is possible, okay? So it is actually possible to keep everything simple and understandable. And most of them, I think I have only one student who still cannot communicate English to me through these messengers, okay? Because she's too young, but she communicates with me with pictures, which is actually cute. Okay, she's not using Russian. That is perfect for me. Okay, so step by step, she will be there. She will write English messages to me. One more step, which is very powerful. It sounds crazy, but I do it. Okay, so if you like the way I speak English, 80% of this success comes from my ability to speak to myself in English. Okay, so some people say that only crazy people speak to themselves. It is not true. Everybody speaks to themselves. Okay, so we all have this dialect in our head. And for example, before this webinar, I spent 30 minutes speaking about this topic in English just because I wanted to practice. I wanted to hear how I sound. I wanted to find the right words and not to be stuck during the presentation. Okay, so that is not embarrassing. That is perfect. Okay, so you are the smart, wonderful, patient person to yourself. Why not to use this opportunity to develop English? I have a question. Social media, right? Social media, it can be harmful, it can be very helpful. It depends on lots of things in our life. So my question is, do you know these logos? Do you know which organization have these logos? Please type the number of the logo which you don't know. So for example, if you don't know the organization with F and a blue square, you should write number 1 in the chat. Okay, so I'd like to know which logos are not familiar to you. While you think and I hope type in the chat unfamiliar logos, I will tell you that all of them are wonderful resources. Oh, Natalia, thank you very much. But we are not finishing, okay? it is very pleasant. I think I blushed. So can you look at the logos? I come back from sweet words about me to the screen. So please pay attention to the screen and say which logos are not familiar. Okay, number 4, it will be TED, and number 3, it will be the business social. Okay. So in number 3, it is business social net, where you can represent your business and actually promote it. It is not as popular as Facebook, of course, like number 1, but it is another possibility. TED, I saw that somebody, TED, okay, so if you don't know TED, please, after the webinar, find the I don't know, YouTube channel TED. You can actually download the application TED. It's a perfect English program with lots of wonderful presentations to get ideas, to listen, to experience, and to have opinion. Okay, so it is perfect. It is one of my favorites. I think of all of those that you can see on the screen, I use them more and more. Number 1, it is Facebook, right? Very popular right now. Number 5 is MOOC. Yes, MOOC. That is wonderful thing. Actually, if you don't know it, write it down on your piece of paper. And after the webinar, also check it out online. That is massive open online courses. It means that that is the platform where you can find massive, lots of courses in English in very different subjects and spheres and areas of knowledge, and you can get a lot of information in English, which actually helps to develop your English. Number 7, British Council. British Council, you know, Anya, I'm actually envious that you don't know British Council, because British Council is a wonderful resource to find. You can see lots of videos, how to teach, how to write, how to speak, lots of podcasts. Wow, that's just a wonderful thing to explore, okay? So number 1 is Facebook, I told you. Now number 7, it is British Council. It is a resource for teachers, by the way, all over the world. So there are wonderful webinars and everything. And number 4, yes, TED, okay? So please, you can make a list of everything you saw on this screen, okay? So I'm surprised nobody said 6, right? Everybody knows what is what number 6. Oh, Victoria doesn't know what is 6, okay? 6 is Instagram, okay? So what is the step here? Why I told you about all these icons? Why did it show you all these logos? So you have your mobile phone, you have your smartphone, and from time to time you look through the news. Please invite English news into your news feed. And with help of these organizations, you can do it. If you subscribe to them, if you use them, if you check their news and check the content that they are sharing for free, you will have some English input, okay? So in your regular life, and whenever you are in transport, whenever you are drinking coffee, you can use it for English. But it is the easiest way to invite English into your life, but it is the smallest step into your successful speaking English. It doesn't help as much as you'd like, okay? So, but it supports you. Do you remember, we need encouraging environment. It means that you should have more and more English resources around you, okay? I actually have to finish. I hope that they will not stop us immediately. Okay, so who do you think a monster is? Of course, the guy with the sword, it is we, okay? So he represents us, okay? Teachers of English, noble and strong, with the sword of knowledge. Okay, so who do you think monster is? From all the talk I made, okay, so I'm afraid I'm talking too fast because I'm trying to, I am late already, but I'm trying. Our fear, oh, thank you, Natalia. Yes, our fear, it can be, right. Okay, because it is something that stops us, right? So we're afraid of, you remember the beginning, we're afraid of making mistakes, we think that we should be perfect. We shouldn't be, okay? Perfect people don't exist, okay? They just don't exist. Don't try to be there. Okay, so one of the ideas, it can be the fear. My idea of the monster, it is my environment. Because environment drags me back to my old habits. And whenever I decide to speak English, the environment around me can be against it. And it is true. Every time when you change behavior, you actually have to change environment around you. So you know how to start. You have to find a person who can speak English only during the day, at least twice a week. That will help. Second, you should invite a lot of English input into your life, okay? So you have to listen to English more. You have to read English more. But remember, that is the easiest way, but the smallest step into you speaking English. You should speak to yourself. It is important and very helpful, believe me. I have done it and I'm doing it regularly. I do it regularly, okay? So it helps me to be confident about my speaking. And we have to finish. Thank you, Natalia, for agreeing with me. It is very nice. And we have to finish, and of course we will have a homework, and I'd like you to write it down because it is important. I will check it somehow. I don't know how, but you should remember that I'm there and I can be checking your homework. So first of all, find some reasons why the seminar was good or bad for you, and is it helpful for you to start speaking more English or not. So first of all, the second step, talk to yourself in English. You will see how wonderful it is. You will see how difficult it is to begin, how awkward you can sound. But the more you speak to yourself, the more confident you get. Okay, so, and by the way, I didn't tell you one little thing that can be very useful. If you use Viber or, I believe, Telegram, you can stop typing, but you can talk to your phone when you send a message to someone. Okay, so it is actually can be audio message, and audio message is going to be in English. And your students, for example, if you send an audio message to a student, they will appreciate it even more, because you don't have to read, right? Because sometimes it's hard, but they will develop their listening, and it will be, wow, so interesting. Teacher talk to us in English on the phone. It is very easy nowadays. We have to embrace these possibilities. You have to find the way, because there are lots of ways how to explain everything in English. Grammar, games, instruction, activities. Just believe that it is possible. I do it. I actually do it with students who are 10. I do it with students who are 9. And I know it's possible because they can understand pretty much. And if they're wrong, I just repeat, but in a better way. I would like you to create English-speaking environment around you. It will not appear one wonderful day. English is not coming to you. So you have to create it. And you should make first a small one, and then it will grow. The environment of speaking English environment about me is quite big. I have lots of students. I have lots of, actually some parents even speak English to me because they like it and they know that they can, and I speak English to them as well. Okay, so you also, I'm absolutely open to help you, and you can contact me to find support and everything. Just find me on Facebook, friend me, okay? So we will be friends there, and you will ask questions anytime you like. So I think that I will read Natalia's message. When I first realized I was speaking English to myself, I got afraid of getting mad. Thank you for sharing your experience. No, you're not. You're getting better. When you speak English to yourself in your head, it means that your English is getting better. It means that you are that comfortable with the language, that your thoughts are organized in English way. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Natalia, for sharing. Okay, remember, please, that I can help you. The last slide, I think I want to encourage you. Okay, so the webinar is all actually over. I hope that I shared some useful things and tips. Remember, it's a hard work, but it's worth it. You will like yourself so much, and everybody around you. Okay, so have fun with creating new environment around you. Speak to yourself. Thank you very much for your wonderful messages and comments. I enjoyed it. Okay, so bye. Have fun.